Hello, I'm Bill LeMay, and thank you for watching Community Matters. We'll hope you continue to watch as we discuss issues facing our community and provide you with the resources and information needed to find solutions. About 1 million people in the United States have Parkinson's disease, and more than 60,000 people find out they have it every year. April is Parkinson's Awareness Month, and we have Anne-Marie Worman, Executive Director of the Parkinson's Association of Carolinas, here to talk about living with Parkinson's. And Anne-Marie, thank you for taking time for us today. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for inviting me to speak.
Well, let's start with something really basic. What is Parkinson's?
So Parkinson's disease is a neurodegenerative disease. It's very similar to Alzheimer's in the way that it affects the cells in the brain. And with Parkinson's, what's affected is your dopamine levels. So once the dopamine in the brain starts to decrease, the more it decreases, the more symptoms of Parkinson's you will see. Science has not proven that it's hereditary or genetic. One of the factors that could cause Parkinson's disease is Agent Orange, people who were in Vietnam and had direct contact. But otherwise, it's just something that people find out about and you don't really understand why you have it. You might not have had any family, but it is a progressive chronic disease. So it will progressively get worse over time. And everyone's different in how they experience it.
Now, is there a certain group of people predisposed to getting it? It doesn't sound that way. And can you prevent it?
So there is a gene that is a marker for Parkinson's disease. A lot of folks who have Parkinson's have chosen to go through that genetic study to determine whether they carry that gene marker. That then lets their children know that they could be predisposed to having Parkinson's, and then will go ahead on their own as well and get tested to see if they're carrying that gene. So there is that one gene that it's called the LRRK2 that I believe that can predispose someone to Parkinson's. Again, as I mentioned, if you served in Vietnam and had direct exposure to Agent Orange, that is a pretty good indicator that you could end up with Parkinson's disease. In the case of Michael J. Fox, his was, they believe, the repeated head injuries that he received playing hockey as a young person. And that then affected those cells in his brain. There's that one theory behind there that could have been it as well. But there's no predisposition as who gets it. You might have a grandfather that had it and nobody else will have it in the family. So it's very hard to diagnose and very hard to predict.
Anything you can do in your lifestyle to try to prevent it?
So no, I mean, there's not, because there's all those different factors that could affect who gets it. Some people say, as all doctors tell us, the best thing to do is follow a Mediterranean diet and keep up a good exercise regimen. And those things are also very important to people once they've been diagnosed with Parkinson's. Very important, especially the exercise piece. But no, there's nothing to really prevent it right now. And no, because there's so many theories about, some scientists have believed that it starts actually in your gut. So it could be anything that triggers that.
Well, I'm picking up that there's not a cure at this point for Parkinson's, but maybe you can give us a bit of a timeline. I'm sure we've made some progress. At least I'm hoping we've made some progress. Have we?
We leave that up. Our organization doesn't do anything with research because we leave that up to the big guys like Michael J. Fox, that's what he's invested in. That's what he's doing. Some of the progress we've made in the medications, 20 years ago, these medications weren't around and people couldn't have the access to them to help with some of the symptoms. So now medication and some surgical treatments have come a very long way. There is something on the horizon, we don't know how soon, from Michael J. Fox camp saying that there could be an injection or vaccination almost that a Parkinson's person could take once they've been diagnosed. It would then stop the disease from progressing, which would be amazing in itself prior to a cure.
Well, what is the quality of life for a Parkinson's patient? I know it progressively gets worse, and I know everybody's an individual, Anne-Marie, but can you give me kind of an idea of, the quality of life and the lifespan of Parkinson's and what happens?
So first, the Parkinson's person isn't going to get diagnosed until maybe years after they've had what we call non-motor symptoms. Those are things like gut issues, insomnia, a different in your walking, which is called your gait. A lot of issues that get put aside as, well, stress can cause that, or, well, let's check this. And so a lot of it just goes undiagnosed until you show the symptom of what's called a movement symptom. And that's a tremor in some part of the body that makes someone go, I didn't have that. That looks like something I need to have checked out. And then there are tremors that don't mean Parkinson's, but that's usually the first sign, is when someone has a, quote, movement symptom that really speaks to the doctor, and they can see it and visually be able to do that. So a typical Parkinson's is they're diagnosed. They've had probably some sort of physical symptom, and they will progress from there, most with their movement disorders. So the movements get a little more jerky per se, or they could get stiff, almost frozen. These conditions are bradykinesia and dyskinesia. Michael J. Fox, if he's not sitting and doesn't have his hands in his pockets, you'll see he's very jerky, and that's that bradykinesia kicking in. Dyskinesia is the freezing or the rigidity of the muscles. And so people with Parkinson's, those will become more of an issue over time. Some people don't have those issues to the degree that others might, but those definitely can progress. So really it becomes, a fight against immobility is what I would say. Keeping up with an exercise regimen that helps with what we call off times with medications, just doing it as long as you can. And then people will get to that point where mobility is really tough. And then you're seeing them use walkers and then progress to a wheelchair, quite possibly to the point then where they are in bed and needing, round the clock nursing care. That's a long time, though. I have people who have had Parkinson's for 25 years and are still walking a little wonky, as they would say, but they're doing it. So it's really so crazy how individualistic it is with the symptoms and the progression.
Well, we don't have a lot of time, but I wanted to at least ask you, your organization, what are some of the things you can do to help either the patient or family members, which of course are suffering right along with the patients?
So we're a resource hub. That's what we want to do. We want to connect the families. We want to connect the person with Parkinson's to services, to resources. So some of the things we do is offer some free exercise classes because, as I said, exercise is so important. And we offer those free. We have them in person, and we also offer them via Zoom. We also connect people to physicians and specialists and therapists across the state of North Carolina and even South Carolina, in case anybody's watching. So we do that through a series just of networking and gathering the best information we have in the Parkinson's industry. So we have educational opportunities that we'll bring to various areas where we have a small conference where people could actually talk with other people with Parkinson's and learn more.
Terrific. What a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you very much, Bill.
Right. And don't you go anywhere, because when we come back, we'll hear from an agency in the Triangle that helps Parkinson's patients live more independently at home. So stay tuned.